When you start living with the end in mind, everything starts to change. What are people going to say about you? What message is your life going to speak when you're long gone? Because you weren't born by accident. You didn't just happen to be where you're at and happen to watch this video. There is always a reason. So let's begin. I just want to welcome you to our Fuse Life podcast. This is episode 92. And my guest today actually has a very interesting story. He's reasonably successful in his own right. He was doing lots of things in terms of marketing, advertising. And if you saw the post I made yesterday, you saw some of the credentials. He's right now running a tech company that's a multi-million dollar company. So he knows about success and advertising, marketing, and money. But he has an interesting aspect to his journey, which really intrigued me also, where there was a search that began for God, right? For something that was missing, and a 5-year search led him to where he is now. And we're going to talk about that. But there's also this transformation spiritually and physically. He just hit a 100-pound weight loss mark, which is amazing. So I'm super pumped to have Justin with us today. Justin, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Oh, appreciate you having me on. And I'll just apologize right now if my internet's a little crappy. I'm out here in the mountains of Tennessee. I'm doing the best that I can.
It's all good, man. Super cool to have you here. So just for those that don't know you, can you just share a little bit of kind of what you do right now and your expertise?
Sure. So I've been an internet marketer, internet business guy for 17 years, been selling courses for a long time. And most recent business is AdSkills. We started that in 2015. It was actually called DMBI Online. That was a horrible name, but that's what we started as, and it became a thing. You know, we made like 50 grand in a weekend, and I was like, oh wow, there's like really something here. We should make a business out of this, because it was just like a weekend course launch in Bali, which we can get to that story. But anyways, so this has been since 2015. We are like we try to stay away from the word school because there's legalities in that, but just as an example, we're kind of like a trade school for advertisers. We teach people how to do Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, TikTok ads, all the different ads. We have certifications. We have a Matchmaker program where we help people get jobs and clients. And so very much like a trade school, but the new modern version online.
That is so cool. And you get people from all aspects in terms of like very new to this and all the way to those that are good, or is there a specific part that do better with you?
Yeah, we're typically working with someone who already has a couple of clients. We get a lot of agencies and freelancers. It's just kind of rare for, we're trying to do a bigger push for more beginners, especially with our new price point. But it's just rare for people to hear about this as a job type. And so we typically find somebody who's making, I don't know, around $5,000 a month, but they've been hearing about the millions that can be made online, and they want to go higher. And so that's where we really help people. It's somebody who has a little bit of experience and wants to kind of go for the gold.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so just quickly, how did you just kind of alluded to the story in Bali in your first launch. Like, can you quickly touch on how you even decided to do something online? Like, how did you come into this space?
Oh man, so we're talking 2005. All right, winter of 2005. So I think that's 17, maybe 16 years actually. Just was jumping from job to job. I mean, I worked at Wendy's, I worked at Hooters, thought that was going to be an amazing job. It's actually horrible. When those ladies come back into the kitchen, they don't have smiles on. They're angry at how the men have been treating them. They're busy. It was a very hard job. Anyways, jumped from a lot of different jobs. Didn't like that. Was a salesman. Kind of saw some people making money online. Like what I told people, I remember I went to this organization. It's called SCORE. It's like senior citizens, that are giving back. Anyways, I went there and I told the guy, I said, I want a website to pay my bills. And he laughed at me and he's like, ha, 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 don't we all, son? And well, hey man, I got a website that pays my bills now. So
wow.
And just quickly going towards this launch thing, I read somewhere that you interned with Russell Branson. Is that right? You did
I
something?
did, yeah. So that was, I'm telling you like the early story that I usually don't even tell people. So that was like how I got started. And then in 2007, because 2005 to 2007, I'm struggling. I think I made like 150 bucks in 2 years.
Mm,
So then I see this internship that Russell Brunson was offering, and I had actually had a sales job. So I used my sales skills to
mm,
help me land this internship with Brunson. And I mean, he was a big deal then, but he's a much bigger deal today.
mm,
He
mm.
was already a millionaire then, and so I got this internship, flew out to Idaho, and I literally worked with him in his office for 30 days. My job was to watch all of his courses and DVDs, not just his, but all the stuff he bought. He had a $250,000, like, when I say closet, I don't mean like a little closet. I mean, this was a
Mm.
walk-in closet with shelves, top to bottom, with every DVD, seminar footage, everything. The biggest names in the world were in there. My job was to go through that training and then write affiliate review articles so that he gets
Wow.
making money back,
Yeah.
on those things. And so I got the education of a lifetime while I was
Mm,
there, and then I went and I turned that into what it is today. I remember when I left, I had one of the courses I had watched while I was there was about Google Ads, which was
mm,
amazing to me because before going there, advertising was like newspapers, radio, TV, or like the cheapest advertising I could think of was like those little flyers you get in the mailbox, or like movie theater,
mm, mm.
advertising. That's what I thought like cheap advertising was. But when I heard about Google Ads, I was like, wait a minute, I could for $100 from my house without having to make any phone calls, I could advertise
Mm.
to the entire world. It was just like, it was a
Yeah.
paradigm shift for me. And so I took my education home, and we were broke still. It was an unpaid internship. So I got, the value was in what I learned, but it was an unpaid internship. And I took
Unpaid.
my last 60 bucks. Um, I paid half the electric bill because we didn't even have the money. I told my wife what I wanted to do. Here's all the stuff that I learned. I want to try it. I literally had to write up a 4-page report of like how I was going to
Mm.
do this because she was so tight on the money. So we pay half the electric bill. We take 60 bucks. That's a pathetic $2 a day ad campaign. And I made my money, doubled my money, did it again the next month. If you do the math, 11 months in a row, I had a six-figure business. So I literally turned $60 into six figures because of Google Ads. It's what took me from eating ramen noodles to Red Lobster, is what I say on stages. Um, and it's what changed my life. So that's why I'm an ad guy.
Wow.
It's the
That's
thing God gave
amazing.
me.
Yeah. And I think it's really good that we're talking about the early days because I think a lot of I guess my audience or listeners are in the early phase and there are things about that I think many people don't talk about. So that's an unpaid internship. I mean, that's a big deal. I thought it was a paid internship. So then how do you get to your first million? Can you talk to that? So now your 60 bucks, you turn it into six figures, Red Lobster, and how did you get to a mill? And what was that like in your head, getting to a million?
Okay, so this is going to be a mind blower. All right, so that was 2007 that we did that, and it was by 2008 I was making six figures. Um, but I didn't make my first million until 2013. So that's what,
Mm,
five years. But I was making six figures, so don't
mm,
nobody cry for me. I was doing all right. I was eating Red Lobster and maybe too much. We could talk about that story, but um, yeah. So making a million the first time. This is actually where this transitions well into the Bali and traveling story, because the first time I made $1 million, I was just as broke as I was before six figures.
mm.
I remember crossing the $1 million line and being like, woohoo! But there's no like party. Nobody like buys you a cake. There's no little hat you get to wear or anything like that. It's just kind of like you see it in the bank and you're like, woo! Um, but I forget exactly when it happened, but in that year, I remember standing in my kitchen. I can literally still see the exact tile that I was standing on in the kitchen. And I was asking my wife if she wanted to go to the movies. And not an argument, little stressful conversation, I would say, happened. And we were kind of talking about how we couldn't go to the movies. We couldn't afford to go to the movies. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? I can't go to the movies. Like, we cost $1 million in our business. You can't buy a $15 movie ticket, And it was because I was trying to keep up with the Joneses. I had a 6-bedroom house with 3 air conditioning units, brand new silver F-150 out in the driveway, jet ski, Xbox and PlayStation, all the games I ever wanted, a big flat screen TV hanging on the wall. Yeah, I was doing what all the internet marketing ads say we should do, buy the car, buy everything. And because of that, I was just as broke as I was with $1 million as I was with no money,
Wow.
So, yeah. So
Wow,
that's what it was like
crazy.
for me crossing $1 million. Hopefully I didn't just kill everybody's hopes.
No, but I mean, that's crazy, right? So you come to that point and then kind of talk us through. So obviously your business went well after that and you learned how to manage your spending.
Yeah. So let me take the story full circle, kind of come to today. It scared me. I didn't know what to do. I knew everything was broken, right? Like if I cross $1 million and I'm so broke that I can't go out to the movies on a Friday night with my wife, everything is broken. And so I ran away. But on social media, I made it look like, look, guys, we're packing up everything and we're going traveling. We're going to Bali. It's going to be amazing. Everybody be like me. Everybody be like me, That's what I made it look like on social media, and I'm sorry. I apologize, But really, the behind-the-scenes story is I had no clue what to do, and so I just sold everything and ran, and figured I would find it out on the road, And while I'm traveling, which I knew the travel life would kind of get me more followers, more business, because people would want to follow that story and whatever. And so I could figure it out while still building my business. And so we went and we traveled. We left Florida on literally Halloween night. I remember my mom being so mad that I wasn't letting my kids have a Halloween night. I'm like, I'm taking them traveling around the world. Like, what do you mean they're going to miss one Halloween, And we went to a grocery store and they gave my kids all this candy, so they were fine, Mom. Love you if you're out there. So anyways, we go from Florida, we go to Texas, we go to San Diego. From San Diego, we go to Japan. From Japan, we go to Bali. We were trying to go all the way around the world. And once we got to Bali, we realized how much more world was left, that we were only about halfway. And we decided not to go all the way. There was also some crazy stuff happening in Egypt, so we couldn't stop there. And we would have had to go to Norway. It was crazy. So we ended up, if you could look at our path, it's like a giant U-turn. It's from Bali, we go to Australia, all the way over to Dallas, Texas. Stayed in Texas again. Really love Texas. Texas is amazing. And then we went back to Florida, and then from Florida, we stayed in Florida for 9 months, and kids, everybody, for Christmas, we always, I'll wrap this story up here in a minute. Every year we do this exercise with our kids, and it's kind of what were the best things? What did you love about this year? What are the 5 things you got this year that you love? What things would you not want to do again? We just kind of go through mentally, we just rehash the year. What do we want to do this year? What's our goals? All that stuff. And everybody, that Christmas, everybody wanted to get back out on the road. And so then we got in an RV. I'm actually sitting in the RV. So we're coming close to today. I promise. I'm wrapping this up. So we get in an RV and we decide we're going to go around the United States, not around the world. We're going to go around the United States. And we did. We went from Florida, Texas, San Diego, all the way up to Seattle, all the way over to New York. So here's where we come to today, the God story, everything. So we're coming back from New York and we try to stop in Virginia, but they won't let us. They won't let our dog at the hotel. And we're like elite Spire members of Holiday Inn. It's nothing special. I just go to Holiday Inn a lot. Anybody can become an elite Spire member if you go there a lot. And so we've been to all these different Holiday Inns, but for whatever reason, this one wouldn't take our dogs. So we're like, okay, well, let's just go to the next town. That's Elizabethton, Tennessee, and we'll stay there. And so we stayed there, and they let us have their dog there. We loved it. We were only supposed to stay there for a day. Like, it was just a in between going from New York to Florida. But we loved it. We're like, you know what? We're not really on any schedule. Let's stay here for the weekend. Let's make a weekend out of it. We stayed for the weekend. We're like, man, we really like it here. Let's stay a week. Let's see what it's like for the locals, you know? And so we did kind of like a secret shopping, or we thought we were secret shopping this house, because it was a wood cabin in the mountains. We were pretending like we were going to rent it, and we really just wanted the door of the cabin. But we pulled up and we fell in love. We ended up signing a lease, and we live here, you know.
Wow.
So then, that's October of 2019 that happens. And they tell me that my neighbor is an atheist. Or no, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was the atheist. My neighbor is a pastor. They tell me my neighbor is a pastor. I'm like, oh, this guy, he ain't going to like me. I'm going to expose him. I'm going to show everybody, all this. And I knew they were going to invite me. So a couple of weeks later, they invite me to church. And I remember, kind of like my famous last words was, I remember telling my wife, well, look, babe, I'm not scared of Christians. It's not like I have cooties or anything like that. Besides, it'll be good networking for my business. So I get to church that day. We'll talk about just like before this as well too. And I want to answer questions in the audience. But so I get to church, and it is the most personal message I've ever gotten in my life. And I know I've talked to other atheists, and they're like, oh, that's because everybody has these same set of problems. You cannot understand. This guy was saying things that I've never talked about with other people. He was describing feelings and emotions and things that were so personal to me that I remember it feeling like a lightning bolt was like going directly into my head. Now there wasn't, it's not like I saw some lightning bolts or flashes. I'm just saying it was like this energy was just going directly into me. And I remember telling my wife on the drive home, I was like, this is how vain and self-important I was at the time. I remember telling her, I was like, do you think he researched me on the internet? Do you think he spent his night, writing his whole sermon all about me?
Oh man.
So I was like, what just happened? And so coming full circle, I spent because it was like October and we were traveling back to Florida, and my business was doing well. I spent the next 3 months researching Christianity. I wasn't looking for God. I definitely did not think the Bible was real. If anything, I was looking for like Shintoism. No disrespect to any religions out there, but I thought I was gonna. That's why I went to over Asia, Bali, Japan, is I thought that's what I was gonna find. Real God religion. I wasn't even looking for God. I was looking for a religion. I was looking for a group to be a part of, a ritual to do, because I was more into Stoicism at the time, and I was looking for rituals and things. And so I definitely wasn't looking for God. And so when that happened, I set out. I was like, no, this guy, he did some kind of persuasion trick on me as a marketer, as a copywriter. I was like, no, he did some kind of persuasion. I'm going to prove him wrong. And so I spent from October through December listening to lectures. I mean, I was watching videos about DNA. I was reading books about cosmology, and I was super into the science and the history. And I literally spent over 100 hours listening to lectures, reading books, watching documentaries, doing everything I could to try and prove this guy was wrong. And I remember sitting in a hotel room, and I'll stop the story here. I remember I was sitting in a hotel room, and I was watching the Lee Strobel movie, Case for Christ. And
Mm.
Lee, I love you, dude. The movie's all right, but like it wasn't really the movie. There was just a line in the movie. Okay, the
Mm.
line in the movie said they were talking about evidence, and they said, when is enough evidence enough? And that was it. That just cracked my heart open, and I realized, I was like, I'm so far into the evidence at this point. There's no going back for me, and I'm clearly on the wrong side of this thing. Like, I'm dead. At this point, I knew, I was like, okay, I'm going to hell. Like, I think God is really real. I think the Bible is really real. I've seen the scientific and historical evidence of it, and Jesus, I need your help. You win. I remember I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a Bible. I hadn't read a Bible yet. I didn't know any sinner's prayer. I just knew that I was wrong and he was right. And so I just looked up at the ceiling and I was like, you win, Jesus. Can you show me how to be a good Christian? That was my sinner's prayer, but that was it. Like, I was in. And in January, I got baptized, and now I live here in Tennessee. So, long story, but that's my testimony. That's how it all happened.
Wow. And so, leading up to this and your childhood and stuff, like, did you have any kind of religion in there, any God in there, anything like that, or was it pure, like, no God at all?
I don't want to offend anybody in my family, but we just went to church Christmas and Easter. That's it. We say a little prayer before, not even really a whole prayer. We say a little jingle before we eat our meals. That was really it. There wasn't a whole lot of. I had been. I went to, what's it called? We called it CCD. It was Christian Catholic something. I got my confirmation, my communion.
Oh, yeah.
I got a picture of me doing that as a kid. But in my teenage years, I started asking questions about dinosaurs, and the only answer I got from any parents, school, pastors, anybody that I would ask, I'd be like, wait a minute, how could God be real and dinosaurs? Like, where is dinosaurs at in the Bible? And I can answer that question now, but so that ruined it for me. That's when I was out. I was like, oh, okay, this is, I figured God was like Captain America at that point. Jesus was, just 4, or whatever.
I get it.
And that's when I kind of left it.
Wow. Okay, so you have this time, and now you're like, okay, God's real. I'm in. So the question must have been, now what? Right? Now what? So what happened after that? What was your next move?
Man, next move. I was in. Like, I was all in. I was getting baptized. Came up out of the water on fire. Came up out of the water swinging. I was just ready to save everyone. And maybe I came up out of the water a little too hot. Quick funny story. I used to say this joke just before I was getting baptized. I was telling people, man, I hope I don't like heat up the water, because I had done some bad things in my youth. I was stupid. I was a very stupid young guy, and I was like, man, I hope when I step in the water, it don't like start boiling or anything like that. When I did step into the baptism water, they didn't tell me it was a hot tub. So when I took that first step and it was hot, I was like, oh no. Oh man. And then I even asked him, I was like, who is it supposed to be hot? He's like, yeah, it's a hot tub. I was like, okay. I thought it was me. And so yeah, it came up out of the water, and I was just like, I was at it too much. I was just all over social media, texting people, and I was too pushy. But I learned, what I was doing. I was trying to make everybody else Christian, and I wasn't worried about making me Christian, and I realized that it's not, I realized watching a movie as a copywriter, and we can get into this, start talking about business and Christianity and stuff like that. But as a copywriter, I literally have a quill and ink pen. It's hard to show this tattoo. I thought I could like save people with words. And it kills me as a copywriter to know you can't word your way out of this thing, man. There's no words. It has to be. I was watching a movie called it's called Hacksaw Ridge. It's about this army movie. It's really not a Christian movie, but there's a Christian guy in there. But what I realized is everybody started believing in God, not because of any kind of proof. They believed because of how hard one guy believed. It's not because this guy was like quoting Bible verses every day. It's not because this guy was like giving sermons every morning or anything like that. But they saw how much this one guy believed himself and stood for what he believed in, that they wouldn't even go to battle unless this guy was there. You know, all the biggest, strongest, you know, macho men wouldn't go in until this guy was. And if that guy was there, they were ready to run through bullets. And I was like, man, I'm getting chills right now just even talking about it. Like, I feel like my hair just grew another inch, you know. Because that's when it dawned on me. It's about being about it. It's not about talking about it. You know, obviously we should talk about discipleship, but you know, it's more about turning on your own light that is what attracts people. It's being it. It's living the word more so than just talking about the word.
Man, we got a similar story in many ways, and yeah, I mean, to me, discipleship is living it, you know, and you're living it in such a way that someone else wants to come and live like that, you know, learn and walk with you like that, you know. This is big, man. So,
hey guys, I just want to take a quick minute to tell you about our Royal Hybrids group coaching program. Over a year ago, the Lord started speaking to me about a group of people, a tribe that would only get their value, their affirmation, that would only get their identity from who they are in God and nothing else. And from that place, they were going to do great things on the earth. In the last year, we have seen a whole bunch of people jump into our program, solidify themselves in their identity with God, and from that place, actually start to engage their purpose. Fuse Life talks about the 6 trees: your spirit, your soul, your body, and then your relationships, your finances, and your purpose. We have seen a whole bunch of people come through this, get solidified in who they are, and then begin their own projects, whether it's a teen mums project, whether it's a coaching, counseling business, or a painting business, publishing your children's book, publishing a puzzle book. We have seen people do all of these kind of things, and we just know that this is just the beginning. So you want to go to www.fusebornformore.com/Royal Hybrids, or just click the link in the caption and make sure to check out what we are doing. We would love to have you as part of our tribe. Now, back to the podcast.
So okay, so you realize it's not gonna burn you in the tub. You come out of there, now you're all in, you're texting, doing all stuff similar to what I did actually when it happened for me. I went a bit crazy at the beginning, but probably a bit longer than you. I went crazy. So talk to me about what's happening here, because I read that you were going to be an evangelist, like a full-on commissioned evangelist. Those kind of starting to happen. And so what happened there and what's happening now?
Yeah. So when all that happened, I thought, I just didn't really know any better. I thought that the only path was becoming like a preacher. You know, I definitely felt I was more, evangelist because of my whole marketing background. And I just saw like evangelism as the marketing department of Jesus. And so I thought that's what I was going to do. You know, so I signed up for Bible school. I signed up to become a local minister. Did a couple of sermons. I actually got a sermon on YouTube if anybody wants to watch. So I was all in. That's what I was doing, and it was just about 2 years afterwards that I learned, like, I had this gift that God had given me. Like, he put me in a field that was just ripe for the harvest. And I was like walking away from this field. I was like, it was like I was this guy looking for apples. Like, man, where can I find some apples? You know, I need to find apples and collect all these apples. Meanwhile, I'm walking away from and out of an apple orchard. You know, like I had this giant 100-acre apple orchard standing behind me, but I was leaving all that behind to go this other route that I thought was the route that I was supposed to take. And took me a long time, literally like this summer, I spent 6 weeks of summer taking a break from school, talked to my school advisors and things like that. And you're really seeking God, praying, fasting, and realized like it's business. It's my marketing skills. My orchard, the apple field. I turned around and looked behind me, and I was like, oh, look, there's apples everywhere.
Mhm.
And that's when it dawned on me that I should, stay in business, and that was building the kingdom. For me, my path. I think
Yeah.
everybody's got their own unique path. So I'm
Yeah.
not saying everybody's business. There is definitely some people should be preachers. I
Mm.
don't think I should.
Mm. Man, that's amazing. That's such a good realization. We talk about it quite a bit, and it's great to hear a story that's walking out right now, live. So, can we talk a little bit about transformation? Like, what are some of the things that shifted for you personally, like in your heart and your thinking, maybe even your marriage or as a father? Anything shift in your house? Can you speak to that a bit?
Dude, I'm a completely different person. I've even had to like ask my wife, like, are we still cool? Like, you still love me? I'm different now. I'm a different guy. Do you like this guy? Kind of thing. And I think she wishes I had beard back. I think that's about all. I used to have a big beard. So first thing, which really was weird to me, strange, because Kanye was kind of part of my conversion.
Wow.
It's just the CD had, that Jesus is
Yeah,
King
yeah.
album had came out like right at the same time.
Mhm.
And I was big into rap before, but overnight, I just didn't like rap anymore.
Mhm.
I don't have anything against anybody who listens to rap. I don't think rap is bad, or it just doesn't. I don't like it. It kind of makes me cringe a little bit. The stories are not relevant to me. I feel like when
Mhm.
I'm listening to rap, I'm like, man, there's better things you can focus on. I'm sorry
Mhm.
if that offends anybody, but so overnight, my taste in music and TV shows, I started
Mhm.
asking people on Facebook. I was like, hey, what do you guys watch? Because like everything I used to watch, I can't watch it anymore. Like scary movies and like demonic stuff, and I can't do it. I see other people do it. I'm not faulting it. I can't.
Mhm.
So I started
Just
asking people. I was like,
quickly,
well, what do you? Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to touch on this because this is something that's crazy, right? Like nobody's coming and saying, "Hey, Justin, stop this, don't do that," da 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 da. But something in you has shifted.
Hmm.
Would that be right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Nobody told me I shouldn't watch them or anything. It wasn't like my pastor said, don't do these things. Um, he had later said something about that, but, before this was all just a new desire, a new thing in me, which was weird because other people in my house wanted to watch them, and I would just leave the room. I couldn't do it.
Mm,
So yeah, I just couldn't watch that stuff. Like, I'm embarrassed to say that I did watch Game of Thrones.
mm,
But I could definitely not anymore. So that was an immediate change, and then slowly my like food changed for me because I remember praying. I knew, and I wasn't smart enough, and that like now I kind of understand Bible study a little bit better, and so like I understand how this would work now. But back then, I knew that I couldn't like just pray the weight off. So I was almost a 400-pound man. I was 397 pounds, 296 today. So I'm down 101 pounds. I'm taking credit for that
wow.
one. You um, so a 397-pound man, complete meat eater, loved ribs, chicken wings, steaks. And I remember praying to God, and I was like, I know I can't pray the weight away. I know it doesn't work like that. I know I can't like pray for a car to show up in the driveway kind of thing.
Mm,
Maybe we can, all things possible, right? But I just knew that it was more about like I need to pray for something to change within me. And so my
mm,
prayer was, God, change my desires. Like I see you change music and TV for me. Make me that person that loves salad, like
mm,
make me
mm.
someone who thinks spinach is great. Which is funny because spinach and bananas are like my favorite food now. So that was like my prayer, and slowly but surely it did. I stopped red meat, and I stopped soda, and I started eating less chicken, and I'm a whole food plant based eater now. Today
Wow.
was the first time I didn't like cream cheese. We went out for bagels today, and I was like, I'm sorry, I just can't. I don't like this anymore. And
Mm.
I liked the onions, tomato, and cucumber on my bagel more than I liked the cream cheese, which
Mm.
it sounds weird for me to actually say those words. So if anybody's listening to me and thinks I think I sound weird, but I'm just being honest with y'all.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, these are the things that have changed in my life. And
Bro, that is so good. So you hit that 100-pound weight loss. I just want to congratulate you on that. That's epic.
thank you.
And that's obviously going to change so many things for you in so many ways. But I want to touch on a little bit. Like I saw one of your posts, you talked about Daniel and the book of Daniel and some of Daniel's story and how that kind of impacted you. So this is quite an interesting take on this, right? Because you're not just like searching for a diet or searching for the next fad or that kind of thing. Like you were literally like, God, come in this situation. You and I are going to do this together. Can you speak on that quickly, like the Daniel thing? Because I really enjoy that perspective.
Yeah. So this has been probably the last 6 months. For whatever reason, the book of Daniel has just been on my mind. I can't get away from it. I can't shake it. And it started with, like, you start hearing these stories, like Paul, Peter, you hear about that. Then you hear about some of these other missionaries that go into these crazy parts of the world. And they're, just everybody was so fearless. And I remember like praying to God. I was like, God, I'm not, man. Like, I'm not fearless, man. I got fears, bro. I'm scared, I don't know how I'd be able to go into some of these neighborhoods. Like, you hear about people going and evangelizing to gang members and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm just not that, God. Like, I'm gonna need your help with that. And so I remember praying, and some people have said, like, you should be careful what you pray about. So I remember praying to, I was like, God, can you give me, Daniel in the lion's den level courage, like, I'm like, this dude, you're talking about a guy who stood in front of a hungry lion and was still like, I'm fine. I got God. I was like, hey, God, I'm sorry. I'm not there yet. And so he's been teaching that to me. He's been making me face a lot of fears that have been really hard and coming through them. And it's helping so much. I'm so much farther along. And so that's where it started with Daniel. But then I started reading more about Daniel and saw that he was plant-based as well. Daniel 1, he talks about the diet that he ate. And if you look into the words, it was a plant-based diet. And he did better than the people that were eating the meats and cheeses and the wines.
That's right.
So there was that. Then I also realized, like, Daniel was evangelizing at work. I don't know if everybody realizes that. Like, I think we always think the mission and the evangelism is, it's out in Africa or in Myanmar, or it's always like somewhere super far away that we're supposed to be in a mission. And I look at Daniel and I'm like, no, Daniel was like my neighbors. Like, the guy in the cubicle next to me is who I should be evangelizing to. It was his 3 friends. I forget the names, Meshach and Shalem. Or I'm butchering. Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna have to explain that little joke to God when I get up there. But anyways, so yeah, it's just I realized, like, he was evangelizing to people at work, to people around him. So that stuck out to me. I just, every time I read the book of Daniel, for me, I get so much out of it. I just resonate with him. It just pours wisdom into me and helps give me strength. And so
that's awesome, man. That's so good. Just before we now transition more into this money conversation, like, I want to say this, the walk with God is just like natural life. Like, you start as a baby and then you grow and then you mature and you go into a toddler and then you go into a 10-year-old and then you're a teenager, and there are these phases and you learn and grow and mature. I think that when it comes to Christianity, a lot of times we forget that, and we expect a 30-year-old straight away. Like, you go from baby. So I love having different perspectives, on the podcast. I get people that are in all different places. So for you now, it's still reasonably fresh, right? It's like a couple of years here, this new way of going. So it's amazing how that perspective brings something so different, you know. So when it comes to money, and this is a big one. Like, you probably have seen your own things around money and how people respond to money, especially as Christians. So can we talk about that a little bit? Being someone that's in business, you're helping others make money, you're making money, and that's the goal of a successful business, is that you make money. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was already, I'd already made $1 million in 2013. My conversion was 2019, baptized 2020, January 2020. So January 2020, being baptized, like, I think my company was already a multi-million, or very close to being 1.5, 1.7 or something like that, So I'd already, really known what money was like and was about, and lived that life. And then starting to study the Bible, and I'm looking around and I see so many Christians are like terrified of money and are so scared. And it's almost like they're, you hear the prosperity gospel a lot, and it's talked bad about, but there's also this like poverty gospel that's out there, and I think a lot of people are unknowingly subscribing to the poverty gospel, that we're supposed to live this like poor, meager existence in the world. And I don't think that that's what we're supposed to do. I don't really find that in the Bible. I do find in the Bible that we shouldn't like love money. It's the love of money, not money. Most people misquote that. They say money is the root of all evil. No, it's love of money is the root of all evil. It's when you put money above God, that it becomes a problem. But we're not supposed to be broke. We're supposed to be successful, thriving. Like, people are supposed to be like, something's different in that guy's life. Like, what is he doing? Because he's not unhappy. This guy's happy. He's successful. He's, his family life is doing great. Like, people are supposed to see that in our life and want what's in our life, and that's what attracts them to us, so that we can tell them, like, it's God. Like, I'm blessed because I'm obedient. And God gives me all these things, and because I'm a good steward of the money, God lets me hold more of it. It's all of God's, all the millions and everything. It's all His money. I just get it temporarily, and because I'm using it the way it says in the Bible, to make sure I'm helping the widows and the blind and the poor, and making sure I'm sharing it with my church, and I'm tithing. Like, I'm using the money biblically the way that God wants. And because He can trust me, the parable of talents, because He knows He can trust me, He entrusts me with more. If He can trust you with a little, He knows He can trust you with a lot. And so I believe that way too many Christians are terrified of money because they hear that one verse about the, easier to put a camel through the needle of an eye, or eye of the needle, whatever. But there's all these other verses, like the entire rest of the Bible says that we should be thriving, and that's what God wants to see. Like, God Himself was a creator. We can get into all that too, but.
Yeah, I mean, so let's keep going down there. I think most of the people on here right now would agree with everything you're saying. Let's keep going. God Himself was a creator. What are your thoughts on that? And
there's a great book. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go.
Okay. There's a book called it's called Called to Create. And so this was part of me transitioning from the, I call it the pulpit path to the pulpit, that's preaching. And part of me seeking the different routes as I was trying to make sure it was okay. I knew it was okay to make money, but like, how do I do it the right way? Because I don't want to like make money off of God. I don't want to do that. I don't think that that's right. I think there are right and wrong ways to do it, but I wanted to stay clear away from that. Like, Paul didn't make money selling Bibles. He wasn't like writing scripture and then selling that. He was a tent maker. And so like I was like, okay, so tent making, very different, but you can make your money in a different way. And so I was, studying those things, and there was a book called Called to Create, and that really helped me a lot. And it shows you that God Himself is a creator, right? He's the creator, creationism. And Jesus was a carpenter, and Paul was a tent maker. Like, there's so many stories in the Bible that shows us that being an entrepreneur is like one of the greatest things you can do, helping to raise the kingdom, right? Because you're going to be able to, that's when God's going to be able to give you more money and help you to create products, to create solutions to problems, to help literally build the kingdom through building these different businesses. And I haven't, gone too deep in the study, but I do believe that ministry meant business back in the early, we now have turned the word ministry into meaning like a mission, like a charity. Even the word charity was we've changed it into something different when it really just meant like, this is my business. And because I'm trying to be obedient to the Bible, my business gives to charities, tithes, all of that stuff. And so check out that book called The Create. It's a really, really good book for every business owner who wants to make sure they're doing it the Christian way. Wow.
So can you touch on that a little bit? Because you just said you wanted to steer away from not doing it the right way. And I think that's an interesting point in terms of maybe we've all seen it done. Like you can, because I think it's interesting the words that you use, like you didn't want to make money off the back of God. I forget the exact words you use, but can you touch on that a little bit? Like, how do you see that, the line, where your heart motive is pure and the line between that?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, this one is probably just me, just coming out of my own mouth and my own heart, still looking in the Bible, but the verse to me is, Paul is telling, I think it's in Romans. Sorry, I don't have the whole thing, memorized. But he's telling them, don't we work hard so that we don't have to burden you, And I think I see so many. Man, I'm trying not to be offensive to anybody, but like I get now that I've given some money to some places, and I get so many letters. I get so many requests for money weekly. I go through just everybody's asking, and it's just like, what product do you create? The only thing you do is if the only thing you're doing is going around teaching the word, asking for money, I don't know. It just, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to study the Bible more there, but I just feel like, what I like is there's a company called Blue Letter Bible. Sorry, my internet's going, dude. My battery's, I'm at like 10%, so we might have to wrap this up, but I think I can get through this here. Am I coming across okay?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a company called Blue Letter Bible. I love this app. It's almost as good as Logos, whatever Bible study software. And it's free, but they take donations. I think that's great. Okay. So like, you have created a product, and I'm happy to give you money because I think that product is great. But like, when there was no product at all and it's just asking for handouts, I don't know if I don't know where I see that, in the Bible, and I'm happy to be corrected. Please do shoot me PMs, drop me some verses. I want to be biblical, but what I see is, I think we're supposed to be creating other products, be profitable. That's the greatest way to be able to give money to charities and tithe and all that stuff. And so I just, for me, that's what I try to do. I try to just create a valuable product that people love, and it doesn't have the word Christian on it or anything like that. We don't have to slap a fish on it for it to be Christian. It can be Christian just because we're honest, we work hard, we take care of people, we tithe, we're obedient. That's what makes it Christian.
Wow. Well, I'm conscious now that your battery might die. I'm conscious of this. So
let me check. We are at 12%.
Okay. So why don't you kind of take this conversation where you feel you want it to go, just for this last bit? We've talked about kind of how you came to the Lord, your thoughts before that, the changes that have happened, which are all amazing. Now you're in this business world, you're making a difference. I read your posts. I think you are gifted with your words 100%. Like the Bible talks about being anointed for different things. You are definitely anointed as a wordsmith. I got to say that. And you know, so you're making an impact, leaving a mark. You've got 20,000 subscribers, stuff like that. You know, so there is a field already for you, a harvest there that you're working in. So all these people listening now that, you know, you said you believe that every Christian should have a business, you know, should and can start a business. Maybe how about we wrap up with that? Those that have just started a business or a couple of years in, or those that know they should, but have still not. Can you speak to some of that, some of your thoughts on that, and to some encouragement to move to their next step?
Yeah, so I think we live in the greatest time ever. I mean, I don't know what the future is going to be like, but I've been in this business for 17 years and I've seen the various tools come alive. You know, when I was starting this business and I told people I worked on the internet, the joke was, oh, what are you, a spammer? You know, I was either a spammer or I was in porn. You know, that was the joke. Everybody would, you know, but today, people know what a blog is. People know what an Instagram influencer is. Like, you guys are so lucky that you can tell people what you do and they understand what it is that you do. You know, that was, they didn't get it. So there's so many tools today. All of the tools have free trials. So you can like get started for free for your first month. There's so much help. I mean, there's a free YouTube. You know, it used to be there was some stuff that would come out on YouTube, but it was, you know, it was kind of janky. You didn't know who was an expert. But now you got Gary Vaynerchuk is on YouTube. Grant Cardone is on YouTube. Frank Kern's on there. You know, I mean, Russell Brunson's on there. Russell Brunson's got an amazing podcast that you can listen to. You can listen to legit, like super legit experts. 10-figure business owners. You know, we're talking 6 and 7. We're talking 10 and 11-figure business owners are giving you advice for free all over the world, available in your pocket. And people are still like, wow. I'm like, guys, this is the greatest time ever to be starting a business. There's free trials everywhere. There's free advice from the smartest people everywhere. Wikipedia exists. You know, I mean, there's just you know, the most abundant amount of knowledge, tools ever available in history. And, you know, the Bible shows us ways that we can, you know, increase that. I believe that if you start something, if you're obedient, right, and you're creating something that people will like and will value, and you're honest, and you're humble, you know, I believe if you just follow what the Bible says and you start a business, I think you're going to be very well taken care of.
Man, that's so good. Let's hit this one last thing. What about the person that's saying, oh, I know I should, or I am doing it now, but to take it to the next level, I'm scared. Justin, I'm scared of stuffing up. I'm scared of making a mistake. I'm scared of getting it wrong or having the wrong product. Or can you speak to that lastly? Making mistakes.
Pray. You know, pray. You know, if you're scared, you probably don't want to be scared. I understand the fears. I really do. I have them, you know. Even though I've been doing this 17 years, every time I write a Facebook post, I'm still afraid that people aren't going to like what I say. Every single time.
Wow.
You know, been on Facebook since 2009. I think I have been on Facebook. And I'm still scared. Every blog post I put out, every video I put out, every course I put out, you start to, it kind of goes away, you know, or not necessarily goes away, but you just are able to push through it, you know. So I would just say to pray, you know, to pray that God changes that desire, that God strengthens you, that God removes that fear, that God makes you feel all right, and do a Bible study on fear itself, you know. Instead of being afraid of what could happen to you, you know, just think about the love of God, you know, and how much he loves you and wants to take care of you, and have that be the thing that you focus on instead of your fears.
So good, man. So good. Well, bro, I just want to thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for dropping bombs. Thank you for sharing your story. This was awesome. I honor you, man. I honor your journey. I honor your calling. You are going into a place where many of these people would never come into a building. You are the building. You are the temple of God, moving, living, breathing, walking amongst these guys. So I honor you for that. And Is there any last words you want to leave with people as we wrap this up?
No, most people wonder like where they can find more. If you just Google my name, Justin Brooke, you'll find a bunch of other interviews. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook. So if you're looking for any of my blog posts, anything like that, it's pretty easy to find. I'm approachable. If you have any questions, just hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. I'm not on the Twitters anymore. When they banned the president, I banned Twitter. So I'm on everything else, but
yeah, so good. And guys, the link to what Justin does is going to be in the caption, AdSkills. So if you are an entrepreneur and you are at a place where you're making a little bit of money, but you want to move to the extra zeros, the next level, then you want to jump in there. Just quickly, you dropped it from 5,000 to like $8.99 a month. Like, why did you do that?
Yeah, so legitimate. We used to charge $5,000 for AdSkills, and I wanted to help more people. And I realized my price point. I could say I want to help people all day long, but my price point was helping me a lot more than it was helping other people. So now it's literally $8.99, not like $899, like $8.99 a month. And you get everything. It's a full program. I mean, there are upsells. I'm not a stupid business owner, but you don't need the upsells. You can get everything you need just for $8.99 a month, and that's at adskills.com.
Adskills.com. There you go. So those of you that are in that space, man, you want to jump in there. This is ridiculous value for $8.99 a month. Like, it's beyond ridiculous, but that's a blessing. So hopefully you can jump on there and make sure you connect with Justin. Once again, thank you so much, bro. This has been amazing. You can stay with me, but everyone else, we're just going to say goodbye. Have a good afternoon, good evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Faith and patience. Faith and patience. Patience means allow it to happen. Stay the same. Stay persistent. Keep going. Faith, know that it can happen at any moment. Get excited because it can happen at any moment. You were so close. Don't quit now. Keep pushing. You got this.